Hey, this is Justin. Thank you for downloading and listening to the J&J Talk Show. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen or favor our show on Spotify app or Facebook. You can also listen live on YouTube at the J&J Talk Show. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the J&J Talk Show. I'm Justin. I got Jake in the studio. He'll be joining me here in a second. But like what we always do in the first few minutes of our show, let's give thanks to the equipment and the web pages that make this show possible. With that being said, let's start off and give a big thank you to StreamYard. StreamYard is the home studio of the J&J Talk Show. If you're looking to create your own podcast, YouTube videos, or you're looking to use it for virtual business meetings, StreamYard is the place to go. Head on over to StreamYard.com and start making your dreams a reality. Also, let's give a nice thanks to Placeit. Create your mock-ups, logos, and videos through Placeit. The J&J Talk Show is proud to be using Placeit to create all of their logos and promotional videos. Placeit is by Envato. Head on over to placeit.net for your free trial. Also, let's give a shout out to Epidemic Sound. Discover world-class artists, composers, and bands. Find your perfect soundtrack and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. Epidemic Sounds is a licensed music and noise effect link. Check out Epidemic Sound for more information. Also, let's give a shout out to Canva, a platform at which we can use our little breaks, intermission breaks throughout the show for. Also, last but not least, Stream Elements. With one click of a button, easily create and start selling your merchandise through Stream Elements. It's that simple. Hey, listen, the holiday season is here. Okay, if you're still searching for that, special present for that special someone, or hey, listen, it's getting cold. It dropped down to 17 degrees yesterday. I know I was cold. Fine, head on over to merch.streamelements.com/JJ Talk Show, and you could find your, shop, our product and wear our product proudly. Stream Elements provides that. Okay, that's simple. Okay, it's free. Okay, they create your domain for you. All you gotta do is and they give you a platform. So all you gotta do is upload whatever you want, or whatever you want on a shirt, t-shirt, iPhone case, mouse pad, whatever, and then create. They'll post it up for you. They sell it. Okay, you'll get your profit share of it, so you do get paid for it. And then if you and then they'll send it to, they'll go onto the web page and buy it, and it'll get shipped straight to that person's house, and you get the profit. So it's really easy. They do all the work for you, besides having to order custom everything, order a hand bunch, invest a lot of money into it. If you're looking to start out, this is the place to go. So streamelements.com. You could check out our store page at merch.streamelements.com/JJ Talk Show, and we'll start wearing your gear today. That with that being said, that's going to change. I mentioned this before, and I will continue to mention this over and over again. Coming up January 1st of next 2022, we will have ourselves a new brand. Okay, we're changing to the TNC brand, and we'll have our first of the Jay and Trey podcast. So, a lot of things will be changing. Social media accounts, our merchandise page, everything will be changing here by the end of the month. But listen, it's holiday season. We got a lot to go over. I'm going to be honest with you. I Thursday or back on Sunday, because that's the last time we did our episode. I kind of, maybe one of I don't want to make excuses, but a lot of times I was tired. I was probably a little tired Sunday night, and so I didn't necessarily think the um, the best quality of the show wasn't the greatest, but and so after the show on Sunday, I decided that I needed to take a few days because we normally come up here on Tuesdays, do shows on Tuesdays, maybe Wednesdays. Um, I was even complexing about doing a Thursday show here today, but I'm like, listen, Jake's reached out to me. He wants to be on. We want to cover NFL this week, and we will cover NFL this week. So I want to give a nice thank you and a shout out and apologies to both Jake and Trey, because it's kind of been more of a dead silent on my end. Thank you for them for being patient and being understanding and willing over the last few days. Um, it's a crazy time of the year, but I want to make sure I give them credit because they are the backbone of this show. I have the studio, I have the click of Let's Go Live, but they bring all the content, they bring the guests, they bring everybody that makes this show possible. The viewers that you guys come in and listen to, it's because of Jake and Trey. So thank you guys for what you guys do, involving yourself in the show, and hopefully, that last couple of days have gotten me, a time to rest and to kind of clear my thoughts, and now we could get back up and running a proper show like we normally do. Anyways, we got a lot to talk about. So we got NFL. This is the show, 2 hours. We're going to take you into 11 o'clock. NFL is going to be the number one topic. We're going to break down the league. We're going to break down the standings, everything that you need to know heading into week number, I believe, 14? Season's almost over with. We got a couple of, college season is pretty much over. We got the bowl games. I think it was like 42 bowl games, 41. Um, and it's going to kick off this Saturday night. Okay, I know this is a big one. Army versus Navy. That's the start of the bowl games here. It's not a bowl game, but it kicks off us this Saturday night, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right on CBS. So, without further ado, I'd like to bring in and welcome. It's been a couple of days, but Jake, thank you for tuning in. Good morning to you. You
Good
got your
morning.
dew ready for you? You got your
Unfortunately, I
Mountain
don't have my
Dew
due, but I got my Powerade. So I mean, but I'm
Powerade.
all good
That's
to go.
magic.
Hey, real quick before we get started, I just wanted to tell you thank you for all that you do for us in this league, or for this podcast, everything that you've done for both me and Trey. It's always been a fun experience to get a chance to be a part of the show because it gives everyone the insights they need to know, whether if it's about racing or wrestling or football and everything that you do. And I understand it gets tiring, and I really, really do. So I think I can speak on behalf of both me and Trey. We really, really do appreciate you for every single thing that you do for us, man.
Yeah,
It's like you're more of the backbone. You're more of the backbone because you do more than what we do. Yes, we come up on, but you do. You start the whole show. You pretty much just run everything, and I want to say
right.
thank you for everything that you do for us.
Yeah, I mean, listen, because I mean, you saw it on Sunday. I mean, it wasn't necessarily the prettiest sight to see. I think by 10:30, I was kind of like over the show already,
Yeah,
to the point. And that was, I was out until 2 o'clock on Sunday morning, with NWF. And then I had to work all day, come home, do the show. The show didn't necessarily turn. I mean, it never turns out as we plan. I think a lot of times we kind of just throw a couple subjects out there and let the wind take us.
yeah,
And so that's usually. I mean, like we're doing that today. I know we have subjects to talk about, but we the shows don't always turn out the way I plan. I usually I'm okay with that.
yeah,
But I just think I was like, man, I'm gonna take a couple of days. I took a couple of days, and then I'm trying to work on other things to help out the show, and I was just like, I was talking to Trey last night, and it's a reality once in a while, we don't get paid for this. Everything is under our own will being. So it's when you take up a lot of time and effort, you kind of have maybe short patience.
Yeah,
Why am I even doing this? So, but no, I mean, yeah, last couple of days on the show wise have kind of just been drawn blank. So,
yeah,
I'm excited. I'm a little bit better. Hopefully, moving on from here on out. But we talked about, we want, you talked about college games. Army and Navy is this Saturday, and that's kind of the kickoff to what 41 bowl games,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
around the nation. Army Navy is always big, and I think a lot of people maybe underestimate them. They're actually going to be at MetLife Stadium this weekend, this
Ev-
Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying they normally play at the Philadelphia Eagles football stadium, but instead it's going to be at MetLife Stadium, home of the Jets and the
Mhm.
Giants. So that's going to be a really huge one. These bowl games are going to be a fun one to watch, and you mentioned it starts pretty much everything. Army versus Navy. I think we also had the Heisman stuff going on, which I don't really care about that, to be honest with you. But at
Yeah.
the same time, I mean, I just don't really pay attention to the Heisman, but it's a huge thing. Don't get me wrong, but I just can't really pay attention to it, if that makes sense. But this
Yeah,
game
I'm not a
here,
big fan of the Heisman. I mean, I used to be a fan of the Heisman. I feel like they downgraded. It usually now goes to quarterbacks for the most part, but it's not like the Heisman trophies lately. Like none of the athletes that won the Heisman has came out to be successful.
I've kind of noticed that seems like a thing, hasn't it? Because like whenever you grow up, you always remember that trophy as like the stepping stone for a huge future for you at the end of college. I mean, I remember looking up to guys like Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram, I think I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Derrick Henry could have won the Heisman. There's so many greats. I mean, also Tim
Well,
Tebow.
okay, so let me show you that list. We're gonna start with last year and go down. Devonte Smith,
Hmm.
okay, back in 2020, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston, Johnny Manziel, Robert Griffin III, Cam Newton, Mark Ingram, like you mentioned, Sam Bradford, Tim Tebow. I mean, the only person out of the Reggie Bush, right? Uh,
There's a bunch.
Troy
Oof.
Smith. But I mean, like for me, like the only person that really stands out, I mean, Tim Tebow out of that last, that list I just mentioned, has
Hmm.
himself probably had one of the greatest college experience ever. But a lot of these guys, I mean, Reggie Bush turned out okay. What happened to Troy Smith? Sam Bradford's not is not you when I say he's not the greatest, he hasn't won a Super Bowl ring, right? Um, you know, Robert Griffin III kind of fell off the end of the track. So has Johnny Manziel.
Hmm.
Jameis Winston, I mean, he's injured, but he's given what the Buccaneers one push when he was with the Buccaneers. Um, Derrick Henry, Marcus Mariota, what happened to Marcus Mariota? So I guess what I'm trying to say is that like the Heisman right now, a lot of those are quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I spend my days watching TikTok, and I've seen a lot of hate into this year's Heisman watch, and I was like, "Where's the running backs at? Where's the running backs who have worked their tails off to be able to get involved with this?" I know that they had a running back from Michigan State that they thought that he should be in this, but he's not. I mean, I'm just kind of confused on what the committee is doing right now, but I mean, not all trophies can go to quarterbacks. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying there's a lot of
Mhm.
players in different positions, from running backs to receivers, that deserves to be in that category. I mean, at
Mhm.
least to the top
Yeah,
it.
no, I mean, I agree with you that I feel like college is set up to be a quarterback state. I think that's. I mean, yeah, you have your wide receivers and your linebackers and your safeties, but I feel like for me, quarterback, if you're highlighted the most out of quarterback
Hmm.
when it comes down to college football. Unfortunately, I mean, I don't. That's all they talk about. I don't really hear a lot of receiving your receivers, and maybe that's why I'm not aware of so many players on unless you're prone to one team. But yeah, they're really
See,
lagging.
See,
I'm
the
kind of
thing
just
is,
over the Heisman Trophy. I don't even like. I mean, I don't even make it a big deal. It's not
mhm.
really something that I even go for the extra hype. It's definitely died down something compared to maybe like last 10 years where the talk has been about okay, who's going to win the Heisman Trophy. And if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be announced this weekend.
Yeah, I think it'll be announced this Saturday night, and that's where they usually have it.
Mhm.
But the thing is, from what I've been hearing, is that this year's like with all the players and everything, I don't like. They're saying that there's not much players to talk about until probably the end of the whole playoff season once we start getting to drafting season. So if any of the NFL teams are trying to find a quarterback, I mean, you better keep an eye out for these bowl games coming up. I know Kentucky, they have Iowa. I forgot which bowl game they have, but yeah, it's gonna be a tough
Well,
test for them.
right. So we look
But
at it. Look at the. Well, here's the finalists right now. Okay, I'm kind of just reading this is off of the NFL report here. Bryce Young, quarterback from Alabama, C.J. Stroud, quarterback from Ohio State, uh, Kenny Pickett, quarterback from Pittsburgh, and Aiden Hutchinson, edge rusher from Michigan. So all quarterbacks except for one. And you think, I don't know, for me, I kind of think about it and it's just, it's like, dude, that's kind of ridiculous. I think that there's a lot more talent. You don't give enough credit to where credit is due among the rest of the field.
yeah, and the fact that Hudson is pretty much that one that is not a quarterback that's playing defense, and if you look at Michigan's big games that you've
Hmm.
seen, he's always been playing a big part. And if you there was a story about him that he's stepping up in his dad's footsteps, and he's wearing the same jersey number, and yet he's making a huge impact. So my only hope for this Heisman is I want to see Hudson win it because as someone who used to play defense back when I was little, I mean I appreciate defensive players a lot more now than ever. So I feel like to me, I want to see Hudson take that trophy home this Saturday.
Right. Well, I mean, if you also think about it, I mean, for me, I think about it this way: C.J. Stroud has another football game to play. Bryce Young has another game to play. What happened? I mean, if you want to name Bryce Young, I mean, I guess here's where it separates itself. NCAA is only going off of the regular season; they're not going off the bowl games. But I mean, what happens if Bryce Young comes in and takes on Cincinnati and really just is terrible at it? I mean, or loses. I mean, doesn't that not? I mean, I don't know because last season I really thought that Justin Fields, after beating Trevor Lawrence in the Clemson Tide, um, right, yeah, and I thought Justin Fields deserved to be higher ranked in the NFL draft picks this past year.
Yeah.
But after beating Trevor Lawrence, but then Trevor Lawrence gets picked, pretty high up, on the radar. But anyways, listen, we got to cut to a break. You got some Thunder Valley Racing to come in talk about coming up
Yeah.
next. We're gonna go over afterwards. We'll go ahead and go over the Final Four, the matchups for the NCAA championship match that will be held at the beginning of the year. Then we'll jump right out and break down into the NFL and the playoff picture and the weekly standings. So sit tight. We got 2 hours going to you guys as well today, taking you right to 11. We got a lot more action here. Hit that like, share, subscribe button. Hey, wherever you guys listen from, whether it is on YouTube Live, whether it's on Spotify, or if you want to reach out to us, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, feel free to reach out to us, talk us up some sports, and we'll get right down into it. So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we got more coming to you. We'll talk about some Thunder Valley Wrestling right here on the J&J Talk Show. Alrighty, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the J&J Talk Show. Lovely. Hold on 1 second. Hey, Jake, do you hear that, by the way?
Yeah, I hear it, yeah.
I had it transferred to... Oh, wow. You know, last night I was doing some work on the computer, and I ended up switching from headphones to speakers. So never switched it back, and we got that going. Hey, real quick here, everyone. I'd like to give a quick shout out to our local promotion here, Kentucky Woodworks. Okay, if you're looking to buy ornaments and certain items, head on over to Facebook page Kentucky Woodworks and order now. They're giving a little promotional statement up here. Trey's got this great promotion going on, so head on over to Kentucky Woodworks on Facebook. Save $5 off of a 10 ornament purchase by using promo code JJ Talk Show. So we'll have to hopefully get him on one day to talk about what he actually does. Anyways, gosh, a little behind today. I'm telling you. All right. Listen, I did not have my morning coffee. So, hey, yeah. So we talked about Army-Navy game coming up here this Saturday. Stay tuned for that. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But listen, so Jake's on here. Listen, you broadcast back on Monday for the Thunder Valley Racing Talladega, right? And we had Blaze _ official, thankful enough to join us, to take some time out of his day on Sunday. I heard a little bit, but kind of a recap of what happened on Monday.
Yeah. So Monday we had the opening and then the main race. What is the opening? Well, the opening is drivers who have not got a chance who want a pole or get a chance to win will have to earn their way to the main race. And for what I was told, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I kept seeing something in the chat about make sure you use a certain camera. So as I was in the broadcast booth, I was talking to Ski Mask and my buddy Heath, and they was using the camera for both races. So they pretty much had a camera to where you can only see the person in front of you. You can't really see anything else but the person's bumper. And they was using that camera for that to make things interesting. And I was thinking to myself, well, that's definitely sounded interesting. So when we got to the open, some people was practicing, but others you could tell they were just like sliding off into pace. They didn't know, they couldn't really see anything but the car in front of them. And crazy enough, it was a guy that I remember got a chance to meet, and his name is T-Bird. And we met from White Knuckle Racing, and he was involved with us. Mm-hmm. And me and a couple of the guys, probably the OGs of TVR knew him, and we were like, okay. So the first two stages, he struggled because there's two guys that were working together pretty well, but then in the third and final stage, he broke that up and then earned his way into the race. Now, when we got to the main race, it was a really huge field. A little bit of mixture of ARCA trucks and Cup Series drivers, and it was really interesting. The first stage, I think the first stage we had like maybe 3 cautions, but the thing was, it was hard for people to really see anything but the car in front of them, like I mentioned, because if you're working together, you have to be able to rely on the person in front of you to know where they're going and know what they're doing. So, right. And then at the end of stage 1, everyone got better. Everything started falling into place. And it was T-Bird who got himself into the race, but yeah, he also won the race. Our top 3, it was T-Bird, Long Live the Sauce, and Kluka. And it was a lot of fun to get a chance to experience something new. I remember I had to go to the bumper cam a couple of times just to try to get a view for the fans. And it was a lot of fun. And, I remember talking to T-Bird during the, as we were interviewing him, I said, you pretty much knew exactly what to do because he had that experience from the first race. And I feel like for those who got a chance to experience it early was going to play a huge factor, and that happened. Um,
So I got a question for you. Are there what type of camera angles does the actual drivers get to use during the
so
races?
so during the racing, they had what's called the chase cam, which is like pretty much you can see the whole entire car. Then they get a chance to have a camera inside the car, like you're actually like in the car and then you're driving
Hmm.
there. They have the top of the car cam, the hood cam, the bumper
Right. So,
cam,
but are the actual racers get to use any
those
cam they
cameras.
want?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
be
and
honest with you because it would be it would be fun. Um, it would. I mean, it would be interesting if
yeah.
you guys can make it. You guys. So you basically told me that the or you basically said that during the part of the race, if not the entire race, they only were allowed to use one camera angle.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So,
but it would be much more interesting, just for me, and I'm just spitballing here, that
yeah.
if the racers are restricted to only using the inside, like if you're actually sitting in a NASCAR video vehicle
Mhm.
driving, you only have that driver's view.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, that's kind of would be more challenging for a lot of people, but it would make things more interesting because you kind of make it more realistic because now people are going to have to adjust to that.
Yeah, so pretty much from what Ski Mask told me in the opening was that they only had like two different mirrors. Uh, the left side mirror of the car, and then of course
Hmm.
you had the mirror right
Right.
above you. And so really they can only use just like one mirror because that left mirror doesn't really do anything, but
Hmm.
they rely on the one top. So yet if they know that there's someone coming to try to work with them, they can just see it right there. And the reason why they had to do one camera is because they want to make things interesting for the All Star race because
Right.
super speedways are very simple and they want to make this challenging for everyone. You know, D Blood, our boss, was also involved with it as well,
Hmm.
and it was very interesting because if you watch the race, you keep seeing people swerving like left, like they couldn't hold a line,
Right.
and it was
Yeah.
very challenging to see, and it was very interesting to watch.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm just curious, like, moving forward, even if you allow the above car, vehicle, behind the vehicle view,
Hmm.
making the races just one view.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of, especially if you make it as like, what's an easy view for people? If you just allow everyone to use whatever view they want for the
Mhm.
race, I feel like you kind of take a little bit of that challenge out. I mean, it's one thing to have to race on a track that's difficult
Yeah.
to handle, but then to do it at a camera angle that you're not used to. I feel like some of the races, and this is just opinion wise, some of
Mhm.
your races, okay, hey, anyone who wants to join in this race, we're gonna this race only. We're gonna have above behind the vehicle. Everyone's gonna needs to be behind the vehicle. I feel like when I would race in some of the NASCAR games and not on Thunder Valley Racing, but on the system, I would
Mhm.
always have the bat behind the view because you
Yeah.
could see the
Safe cam.
cars coming on the inside, outside, and then you still kind of get a review. You kind of know any cars that's coming up behind you. You know, but in racing purposes for a league that you're trying to build, I was just curious because
Yeah.
you guys got down into the drivers. I feel like that's the most realistic term. Some people like to get down in the bumper. I feel like that's difficult, but I mean that takes a lot of camera, a lot of screen out of the equation, so you can't really see each other.
Yeah.
It also builds. I mean, I don't know if they have do they have communication within each other, right, on the headsets. It's
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
it's gonna make them talk and communicate more, which
Yeah.
that's what they do in live racing. They communicate. I mean, if Kyle Busch and Jim Johnson's on the same, team, they're gonna communicate. Hey, I'm up behind you.
Yeah. So the thing is that pretty much we all go through Discord because of the restrictions PlayStation has. And so we had
Mhm.
our in-race reporter, and he had a little earpiece so he could be able to hear the drivers, but could talk to us at the same time. So yeah, he was going from like one into another. And you talked about the communication. The communication was always key when it comes to super speedways, because you have to rely on whoever it is that he was working with. And to
Mhm.
me, I feel like, and this is just like my opinion, and I know D Blood's got a lot that he's trying to get ready for season 4, is that make the road courses very interesting. Like, make them go through that camera angle that we did at the All Star race at the road courses, because road courses are probably the most challenging part of NASCAR.
Or wait,
Because
I don't mean to interrupt, but only thing I would do maybe differently is maybe, okay, hey, for this race we're gonna do this angle. For that,
yeah,
for the next race we're gonna have it. So besides having the track
mhm,
changing, you have the camera angles changing, and then maybe you're less. Your less ones. You maybe, hey, you could use whatever camera, but if you could assign the camera angle to, I mean, as a
yeah,
broadcaster, you're gonna be able to pick up any angle you want, regardless. Hopefully, which will give you the advantage to take a look into it. But as a racer, I feel like that will become more of a realistic challenge, because if you think about it, Kyle Busch, right? He's not able to have he doesn't have a screen in his car where it shows behind the vehicle. It doesn't do
yeah.
that. I mean, he has a review. Some of the drivers don't even have review mirrors.
No, but the thing is though is that, and this is just me. I've kind of noticed
Hmm.
this in like different games outside of NASCAR when it comes to F1 or when it comes to Forza, is that
Yeah.
the chase cam, which is behind the car, is to me. I'm used to it for as long as I've been playing racing games, but the
Yeah,
more
that's
you
my
get
camera
older,
too.
but the more the thing is, and this might help you out, is that you can't really see the track too well. Yes, you can see it properly behind your car, but you can't really see it up close. So to me, I've been using the bumper cam or the hood cam, so it can give me a better
Right.
view of the track and it gives me a better view of when to let off at
Right.
some breaking points.
Yeah, I'm the
And
same way. But yeah, I feel like, but when you give the ability to use whatever camera angles, I feel like there's not much of a challenge. I feel like
well,
I've tried it. Like, if you like, using using the driver view
mhm.
is probably the most challenging of them all. Like, you
There,
already have to deal with people using the controllers compared to the steering wheel. Some people use the handheld controllers. Some people go out and they buy the steering wheel and they hook it up and they actually use the steering wheel. Some people have one TV. Some people have a big flat screen TV. Some people have three TVs where they can get all angles.
yeah.
So I'm just saying that if you say, okay, you're only allowed to be in this camera angle, just as a suggestion, I think it will make them, and over time, if people are going to have to practice. I think at the beginning you'll see the strengths and what camera angles individuals use, because the record will probably be better. But and for me, it creates more of a challenging and exciting laps.
Well, I mean, well, I mean, like I said, I mean, it will be interesting to see, and as far as like you mentioned, the wheels and those that use controller, I mean, just imagine how struggling it is for those who buy the wheel who uses a certain camera, so way they can actually
Oh
feel like,
gosh.
hey, they're actually racing compared to a controller driver. Myself, I'll even admit I'm
Right.
a controller driver, and it may be easier than the wheel, but the wheel drivers have a lot tougher, and I give credit where credit's due because they're the ones that's like, having the arm pain and knowing if they even have like the shifting, all the equipment that they need for the stuff. So I will give credit where credit's due. But
Yeah.
as far as right now we are taking a break. This past
Hmm.
Monday was our final actual race of the season 3. Um,
Is
D
that going to
Blood.
be for the rest of the year, by the way? I mean, considering, holidays coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're pretty much done for the holidays. D Blood said he might do a couple of races here and there, but I told him, I said, I'm going to take the time to enjoy my holiday, and we're going to try to get everything back and going. Probably about mid January is what we're looking at for right now.
Right.
We're talking about a lot of stuff that I can't really say, but D Blood is doing everything he can just to be able to provide more excitement, because I feel like, as someone who's been a part of this league since day one, this season has been probably the most incredible season that we've had. I mean, we had the sponsorship with Plan B sales, not on apparels, and with you guys, with the podcast. You guys have
Mm-hmm.
helped us create a platform for us to be able to show people outside of the league how fun it is to be a part of racing. And it goes to show that it don't matter if you're in Thunder Valley Racing League or if you're in Hennessy Performance League. It don't matter what league you're in. Get yourself a platform and make a name for yourself. Go out there and talk about your league.
Mm-hmm.
And D Blood wanted me to tell you he appreciates you for allowing me to get a chance to promote the league. It's been a fun one. Um, and we might be doing some awards here soon. I know guys like Plays Official, Kluka. I mean, there's a lot of young talent that are waiting to see, like, who deserves, like, Rookie of the Year, who deserves the awards. But
Right.
we're still working on the awards. But expect Thunder Valley Racing League to come back hopefully mid-January. That's what we're looking at right now.
Well, we talk about, okay, what is bringing this show content and what's bringing this show, um, how we could build our show. And we probably alliterate this all often on this show. It's all about starting small and working your way up. We are honored to be able to work with and or be able to promote and help promote the content of NWF and their wrestlers through social media pages and
Yeah.
um by going to their events. And for Thunder Valley Racing, you know I'm more than, we have the time on our show, especially with the upcoming schedule that we're going to be associating ourselves with. So, you know Thunder Valley Racing, although it's not NASCAR in real life, it
Uh-huh.
is a video game on a sport. And because I don't typically talk, we our per show is primarily on wrestling and primarily on football. I'll
Hmm.
throw in baseball there. I'll throw in basketball from time to time, depending on stories. Um, Obviously, NASCAR. This kind of gives us into NASCAR. So, anyways, what I'm trying to tell you is that we have no problem promoting it. Hopefully, what I would like to do,
Hmm.
um, it's D Blood, right? That's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
correct
D
name.
Blood.
So I would
Hmm.
love, before season 4 comes out, I would love to get D Blood on our show, talking to
Yeah.
us, kind of, giving us, what he looks towards season 4, what he has in store, kind of like a little bit, kind of a little bit of a, sneak preview of what's to come in Valley Racing next season. So maybe you could work something out with that, and we could get him on at some point between now and the beginning of season 4.
Yeah, yeah. I
And we
asked
have no
him.
problem, racing it. So let me know. I mean, keep me informed. I try to go back and I watch as much as I can with the league. So definitely
Yeah,
excited.
yeah. So I would definitely talk to D Blood. I asked him one day if he would like to be a part of it, and he said he would like to.
Oh,
Yeah, we just have to figure out like a great time for him. But other than that, I
well,
mean,
you like I say, the schedule that we're looking to.
yeah, yeah,
So if something changes with that weekly schedule, but by the way, for people that are not aware of right now, TNC beginning at the beginning of the year, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 10 a.m. to noon, Saturday and Sunday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. So there's 5 days at which he can come on the air and talk
yeah.
Thunder Valley Racing. Um so yeah, they're going to take a couple of days off. Hopefully, we'll come back in a few weeks with some awards, and see what that's about as well. But it's holiday season. People get to stop what they're doing to go enjoy whatever they can. About that, so we talk about holiday season for a lot of people, but when we come back, we got some. We're going to talk about the what's coming up for the top four, the final four in NCAA football here. As we get things going, we'll take you into 11 o'clock right here on the J&J Talk Show. We'll be right back. Good morning, Jake.
Good morning.
Are you awake?
No. I'm not fully
I
awake
can feel
yet.
it. I am not awake. I felt like absolute crap yesterday. I felt almost like a train hit me. I ended up calling off. I felt terrible, but I ended up I went to bed. I think so. Went to bed about like midnight. I'm just, this holiday season's kicking my ass. I tell you that. It's
Yeah.
gonna kick some people's asses here. The Final Four is in, and okay. Let me start off and just explaining a few things. Alabama beating Georgia takes Alabama to number one. Georgia drops down to number three. Michigan's number two. So Alabama's one, Michigan's two, Georgia's three, Cincinnati is four. Is that correct? Is that yeah?
Yeah,
So
that is correct. Yeah.
on the first, right, January 1st, you will see Alabama take on Cincinnati and Michigan taking on Georgia. I have some other thoughts about this, but I'm glad that Cincinnati's in.
I am very, very happy too, considering the fact that they are the only school outside of the Big Five to be a part of this playoff. So, I mean, give credit where credit's due. 13-0. They won their conference title against Houston this past Saturday, and I'm very happy to see Cincinnati on this top four.
I'm definitely excited that, like you said, especially if they're planning on moving divisions. I've talked about this throughout the season, how it was important for them to make an impact, and I felt like halfway through the season that when they got knocked out of the top five, I was like, dude, they're just setting them up for failure here because no matter how good they are, they're never going to get the push, and they finally found a way to get back in. And I think it has to do with some of the other teams losing some key games. I mean, Cincinnati beat Notre Dame. I believe they beat Notre Dame earlier this year. I mean, there's just a lot of impressive victories. Cincinnati definitely deserved to be in. Here's my thing. I guess this is my question.
Mhm.
My problem with the whole final. They just Alabama and Georgia 1-3, so they don't necessarily see each other.
Mhm.
I feel like this is a little given, and I don't know if they're trying to control the finals. I feel like that they are, especially since Cincinnati is not part of the Big Five. But they had a great football game. They had an okay football game last week,
Mhm.
and they have a whole month of waiting around. And this is when I would say, okay, this is what calls for the 12 or 16 team playoffs
Mhm.
because now you have 4 weeks of nothing, of them rusting. And I really feel like you could use these bowl games and put a playoff tournament together,
I
right?
agree. I agree. Yeah.
I mean, some
Uh,
of these bowl games just don't really, I mean, no one's really going to watch. I'm already upset. Well, I'm upset at the fact that some of these games are happening throughout the week. And if you're, as a fan, if you're moving along, some of these games, like I said, you got Army Navy this Saturday. You got starting Friday or next Friday, right? You have a handful of bowl games that take you until Monday, right?
mhm.
People ain't going to really be paying attention to bowl games on Fridays or Mondays. And then you also have, starting just the first week of December, or not December, December 21st, right? Tuesday.
Yeah.
You have bowl games. And I'm like, people are still at work. They're not going to necessarily tune into a bowl game then. I feel like if you use these bowl games and you implement them into a 16 team playoff, it will make college football interesting in December. Because right now, for me, other than this Army Navy game, which has just been a tradition, I'm
Mhm.
waiting until January 1st. I'm not really caring about all these other games because they really don't mean nothing to me.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, is like no matter what college is in these bowl games, for me, Joe, ever since I've been a Kentucky fan. To me, I'm focused on not only these playoff games, but also
Hmm.
Iowa and Kentucky. So, I mean, there's a lot to be excited for, especially for everyone's favorite college teams to be a part of just at least a bowl game, some sort of bowl game. And if they do have this idea where it's gonna be 12, maybe 16 playoff teams to get involved, it's gonna
Hmm.
make this a whole lot interesting because we may not even see what we're seeing right now. Number one, Alabama, and number three, Georgia. And I'm hoping I'm not the only one that feels this way, but I really got to share my thoughts on this. I'm getting tired of seeing, it's like every playoff year, there's always an SEC team involved.
Because
And
that's what they find. That's what the championship is built around.
And I understand that. I understand that. But the thing is, though, it's like, yo, let's make this very interesting. Instead of just having Bama playing against Cincinnati and then Michigan playing against Georgia, how about we have the opposite? Have Bama taking on Michigan and Georgia playing Cincinnati. I mean, plain and
And
simple.
that was my original thought process because I think when NCAA booked this, they thought that maybe, or they're hoping that Alabama and Georgia will have their rematch as in the championship. But I mean, I still feel that Michigan and Cincinnati, don't count them out quite yet because I mean they could. I mean Cincinnati's beaten some good teams, Michigan as well. They could definitely beat Alabama and Georgia. But I think that NCAA is hoping, they want to wait off for the championship game to be hosted. Against Alabama and Georgia this year. instead of a semifinal game. I think that's going to draw them more money. But reality for me, I'd rather see Cincinnati make it, face Michigan more than anything else. I think
Yeah.
one thing that I'm tired about, you have your division champions, and that's fine. But I really believe that and we know the NCAA playoffs is going to change next year. We
Hmm.
just don't know what format. I will love to see 16 games. I don't want the first round buys or anything like that. Just 16 games.
No, no. Just all simple. And to me, and I shared this on my TikTok, which by the way, you guys can
Mhm.
follow NerdJake520, is, and I hope and you feel this way. To me, Alabama shouldn't be number one. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Let me
Yeah,
tell you why.
but I mean, Georgia losing to Alabama, does Georgia still stay at number one?
Not
And what
real. I
has
mean,
Michigan and what has and they're not going to give number one to Cincinnati. And really, what has Michigan
no,
done to be number one also? So realistically, yeah, you're right. Alabama shouldn't be number one, but Georgia shouldn't be number one. Michigan shouldn't be number one right now. And the only team that should be number one is not going to be number one. Cincinnati, they're just not going to give Cincinnati that much credit.
no. But the reason why I'm saying this is because after watching the performance between the SEC title game and the Big
Yeah.
Ten title game, Michigan looked so incredible. They looked incredible against Iowa, 42-3. And it goes to show how much they're ready for these playoffs. And to me, after the performance that they have, that to me it deserves the right for them to be number one. And I understand, it's all about schedule and everything, but yeah, you got to give credit where credit's due. After everything that the state of Michigan has went through, Michigan with the performances they have, playing their hearts out for those that got involved last week, to me. It would make sense for Michigan to be number one, and I'm not a Michigan fan, but they have come a long ways to finally get a chance to beat Ohio State, to finally get a chance to win the Big Ten title since 2004. I mean, it
Hmm.
would be awesome, but
Right.
but Alabama will always end up being number one. And D Blood, he's a big Georgia fan. I know Miss Soaps is a big Georgia fan. He couldn't stand Nick Saban. He couldn't
Well,
stand that Alabama team.
it's all because Alabama beat Georgia. That's why Alabama had to be above Georgia,
Mhm.
and putting Georgia number three, like you mentioned, it's not about Michigan being better than Georgia. No, I still think Georgia is better than Michigan, but it's about what you could possibly see at the end of at the championship game. Um, possible Alabama and Georgia together. So that I think that's what they want to sell on. For me, I would have just put Georgia and Alabama at the Cotton Bowl or something like that, and let them two battle it out again. They have a whole
Yeah.
month to recuperate. Here's another thing: you talk about the playoff expansion for 12 to 16 teams.
Hmm.
All these bowl games are held away from the two team stadiums, both teams, right? You
Yeah.
take a look at some of the games, like the Cotton Bowl is not in Alabama.
It's in AT&T Stadium, I believe.
uh Orange Bowl is not in Michigan. Let me put it that way, right? So
Yeah.
my point is, at least the first two rounds of if you expand it to a 16 playoff team, right? I
Mhm.
expect maybe the first two rounds should be held at the actual home field advantage stadiums. How much publicity would these stadiums be if they're all on primetime TV both Saturday and Sundays in
I
December, getting a playoff opportunity?
I definitely say it would definitely draw a lot of attention, not only just towards the stadium, but yet to that community and that whole state as well. Because fans who may not get a chance to see, let's say for instance that let's say Alabama, let's say people
Mhm.
who have not got a chance to experience the Alabama stadium, to experience the crowd, to experience the excitement. They with
Right.
prime time, with the air that they would have, it would draw a lot of attention towards the college, towards
Right,
the
but you
fans,
also think that, like,
everything.
okay, so here's the top eight: Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Baylor, and Ole Miss. You think having that first round playoff at home in those eight stadiums will not sell out? Will not do publicity for the entire the entirety, entire organization. I mean,
Yeah.
look at Ole Miss and Baylor. I mean, I think those two teams will benefit significantly, not only being on an ESPN or FS1
Hmm.
on prime time, but also getting to represent, having that home stadium do that. And then you do that in the final eight, right? The four home teams in the final eight does that, and then you could get down to the semifinals and do it wherever you want to do it at. I feel like, yeah, I understand the championship, but
Yeah.
I understand the championship game should be maybe held at a national, no, neutral stadium for both teams. But it's like, okay, well, I'm excited to see Cincinnati. The possibility you take an Alabama out of Alabama, and you say, well, you see, I saw their performance this year.
Hmm.
Now Cincinnati has a little bit better opportunity to beat Alabama this year. And I'm hoping. I mean, I don't want to be that down dog, saying, hey, Alabama and Georgia are just going to be the finals again. I mean,
Yeah. To
if
me,
I got to put money on it, I'll do it. But
Yeah, but to me though, I mean, the one thing I can say is that at least we get a chance to see something different in the playoffs this year.
Mm,
We're getting something besides Ohio State or Clemson. I mean, Clemson is down to the top 25, but yet
right.
one thing I can tell you is when it comes to Cincinnati fans, and this is something I noticed a lot on TikTok as of late, Cincinnati has been so very passionate. They've went through a lot, whether
Mm-hmm.
it was sort of the good times or the bad times. I expect to see a lot of Cincinnati fans driving to wherever this the bowl game against Alabama would be, and expect to see a huge excitement for them to bring a big game field for both Alabama and Cincinnati. And yet, whoever the outcome is going to be, at least Cincinnati can say that they've accomplished a lot, and they pretty much told all the doubters, "Do not count us out. We're still in this."
I mean, I think that the season alone just indicates where that's at. With how they perform, being undefeated. When NCAA told them that they don't deserve to be in the top four, and they were taken out in the top four, the fans stood up. They became vocalized, and they really got themselves into it. I mean, I witnessed it down here on a college game day when they were down here in Cincinnati.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean, yeah, Cincinnati deserves to be in the top four. That's why they're there. And I feel like they're around to stick around, especially if they're looking to be in a new division.
Yeah, and real quick, I will say this. So Cincinnati kind of reminds me of how West Virginia used to be back in the Big East. Because everyone doubted West Virginia a lot, especially whenever we played in Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma. So the fact is that Big East and what is it, the American Athletic Conference? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm,
This kind of reminds me of just a small conference being at the big stage. So I'm excited for
right.
Cincinnati, whether they win or lose.
Well, we're going to talk a lot more about college football and the final 41 playoff teams. Like I said, Army Navy, I can't express enough, comes up this Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, CBS. Tune in, watch Army Navy, MetLife Stadium. Coming up next, we're going to get right down into football. A lot to talk about on the NFL. Taking you up until the 11 o'clock hour right here on the J&J Talk Show. NWF Fight Night comes up to you December 18th at the indoor eating cages in Covington, Kentucky. Get your tickets now. Go to NWF.com, NWFWrestling.com for more information. Jews versus Titan. Oh, they had a great match a couple weeks ago. Their storyline's building up. Got some tag team action in NWF. I know we weren't supposed to talk about wrestling, Jake.
Yeah.
And we're not going to talk about wrestling. I mean, besides the
Yeah.
promotion. But I would be dumbed and probably hated myself if I did not give a very, very happy belated birthday wish to John Moxley,
Definitely.
who his
I
birthday, I would
can.
believe, was yesterday.
I
If
think
I
it was
wasn't mistaken,
yesterday,
or
day
day
day before
before.
yesterday. Day before yesterday. Yeah.
That's how long I've been off of
Oh
the
man.
air. So happy birthday, belated birthday, John Moxley. Hopefully you are doing well in your rehab as he continues. As he, I mean, man, what he's doing, I think, speaks volumes to a lot of people that should be doing the same thing.
Exactly, and yet I feel like he's pretty much taken a lot of steps, and and this goes without saying, and yet I if you feel like that you're struggling in any area, whether if it's depression or if you're drinking, whatever it is that may be, then go get the help that you need because people you may not realize this, but everyone that's in your life wants you around. So yeah, just keep on fighting what you fight right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes to the same thing. Uh, you know, um, with Jeff Hardy leaving the arena during the match and just went straight home. Um, you know, I think listen, wrestling it's like wrestling. Yeah, I can feel, and I hate to a lot of people are gonna probably hate me saying this, but you could compare wrestling to like being in the military. You're on the road 200, 300 days a year. You're putting your body on the line, having to be able to adapt, do these appearances, and it could get to you, and it could get to you hard. So to be able to understand, hey, where is my breaking point, and stop it at that point. I think it's something that a lot of people haven't done, and I think you need to speak. They need to speak more of.
Yeah, and this is something I feel like I want to share, but it's like fighting the being depressed and fighting this depression. It's like being involved with like a wrestling match. You're gonna end up getting knocked down for
Mm-hmm.
the count, but yeah, you just got to be able to get back up, and you got to be able to keep fighting what you're fighting. And there's a couple of times where I've had my states at times, and thankfully, with the battles I've had, I think we can say we've all had battles. But yeah, just be glad that you're still here and that you keep going. And that's what we all need to know is that the wrestlers, the athletes that you see out there, it's kind of like us fighting in a lot in the mental ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, but like I said, John Moxley, we're gonna see him back. We're gonna see him stronger. He has a family to take care of, and he needs to do what he needs to do. And but we wish him a most happy birthday earlier this week on behalf of the J&J Talk Show. Hey,
Yeah,
it is football time,
there
and
we go.
yeah, let's go. Let's kind of before we take a look into it real fast. Um, let's kind of go over some impressive victories. Listen, the Chargers beating the Rams. I do want to just impose
Bengals? You mean the
the
Bengals?
Bengals. Yeah, you're right. The Bengals. I'm putting down my team. The Chargers beating the Bengals this past Sunday kind of feels like this was a very important victory, as I think I tried to explain. I'm back on Sunday, but
Hmm.
this was really an opportunity to gain an advantage in that wild card spot. Chargers take number 5 seed, the number 5th seed. The Bengals drop down to number 6. And for a division that looks like it's going to be a lot of maybe some ties, the
Hmm.
Chargers are looking, are going to always have that advantage now above the Bengals. Um, so I mean, it kind of shows. It's like throughout the season, there's been certain teams where they've been playing very well and then they decide not to show up. The Bengals were playing well, but let's face it, they just honestly decided not to show up. And I don't think the Bengals could take another hit going, being at home again, facing the 49ers. They can't lose two in a row to teams that they should be winning.
The thing is with Cincinnati is that they are having most of the players are having a lot of injuries. I know Burrow's got an injury, Mixon's got an
Right.
injury. I mean, and the thing is, though, it was about time for the Chargers to finally step up to the plate because the game was on when I got home, and I seen
Mhm.
the struggles that Cincinnati has, whether if it was the offense or the defense or even special teams. The special
Right.
teams they struggled the worst in this game, and I feel and the Chargers finally stepped up. They got to keep this momentum if they want to keep that wild card spot. Then they keep playing the way that they played, especially against Cincinnati this past Sunday.
Well, I mean, for the Chargers, for a guy that follows the Chargers a little bit more because I follow a lot more West Coast teams, um,
Hmm.
and knowing the history of the Chargers, they kind of just do this over and over again. They got off to a great fast start with the Raiders, and then out of nowhere, they kind of simmered off, died down a little bit, kind of typical Charger stuff. And now this is the
Yeah,
type of the point of the season where it's like, okay, if you're contending then show us that you're contending. And sometimes the Chargers just kind of slipped their way in to the playoffs without really giving much effort. And we saw something that we saw a dominant team, but they also took advantage, like you said, on a banged up, Bengals team. Joe
hmm,
Burrow, his pinky injury, or broke his pinky. It was all black and blue. I give you credit for still playing, but when you know you're down by 2 points with less than 2 minutes to go, and you go back out there for that final drive, I'm sorry. I don't care if I'm a fan or not of the Bengals or the Joe Burrow. You're being stupid. You need to go back in, take care of that hand. You know you already lost the game. Let's worry about next week because
yeah,
I mean, you go out there. I mean, it's the same thing on and off the field. You could go back out there and one wrong hit, and he was getting hit hard all game long, and one wrong hit could get you injured, take it out for the remainder of the season. And right now, with the Bengals going, I still have high hopes for the Bengals. I don't think that this is the end. Yeah, they're banged up, but isn't all teams banged up, especially if you're
yeah,
looking for the postseason? So,
yeah.
in my eyes, I just say, you know, you need to play smarter football. And this is not the end for the Bengals. But yet again, coming into facing the Niners this Sunday, you can't afford to lose two games in a row.
And the thing is, though, is that Burrow just keeps showing that it's the toughness. I understand that. I understand you want to go out there
Yeah.
and say, hey, I have a messed up pinky, but I'm still going to throw. I mean, that's like with Aaron Rodgers. He's got a messed up pinky toe, but yeah, he's still out there playing. But the problem is, though, it comes a time to where you've already been injured once before. We've seen what happened to him last year. You don't need a repeat of it again, especially with how good your team has been throughout this whole season. I will give credit where credit's due. Cincinnati has been phenomenal this season, but they
Mm-hmm.
can't lose it now, especially with this coming close to the postseason. And they play a team that is trying to make their way into that wild card spot in the 49ers. I mean, and I feel like that these two teams, both especially Cincinnati, have to watch out for injuries. They have to be careful because if not, then yet eventually your whole season's going to be done with before the postseason even happens.
Right. Talking about another team that's kind of surprisingly to me as I look at it is the Washington football team going into Las Vegas, beating the Raiders, and you look at them right now. And let me just pop this up here while we have this. They sit number 6 in the wild card spot. There, something
Hmm.
surprising. I mean, I know the NFC is not totally the greatest. You have a lot of separation on teams that are performing well compared to teams that are not. But Washington, with all the stuff that's going on to them behind the scenes, somehow finding themselves a way into the wild card. Definitely impressive this year.
Yeah, and I feel like Washington. I feel like they might be the biggest challenge for Dallas because of the fact that the Eagles are not doing anything, the Giants are definitely not doing anything, but yet Washington with Taylor Heineke, I mean they've stepped up a lot. I mean they have not had a single loss in the month of November, and yet they're looking forward to keep holding on to that spot. Now, if it would have been the playoffs right now, they would have had to take on Tampa Bay. That would have been another tough challenge. But yet, I feel like Ron Rivera is doing what he's doing best. I think that's his name, but the head coach. But anyways, he's making sure that he's keeping his guys lined out. He's making sure that Washington can get another postseason appearance upon them, and yet they have a shot. They just got to keep continuing winning games. Who knows if Dallas keeps losing a lot of games, then yet they can end up being the divisional winner. But
Well,
yet,
they have a
like
great opportunity this Sunday because the Cowboys face the Washington football team. So, I mean, if
and
just imagine the impactful statement you could make as a Washington football team. Hey, we're not a team, especially you talk about them facing a good team or possibly going to be facing a good team like the that like the Packers or like the
mhm.
Buccaneers. Well, if Washington can beat Dallas, even if you're in the wild card, you're just showing everyone else that's contending, hey, we're not just some mediocre team that's beating, mediocre teams. We could actually be, stick around with the big dogs.
See, the one thing I love about the NFC is that teams like Washington, who all people always say, "Oh, they're not going to make it to the postseason. They're not going to get a chance to make it to the playoffs." They're
Mhm.
always showing people wrong, and yet it's about time for them to step it up. Ski Mask, who's a big Washington fan, tells me that he believes his boys are ready for the postseason, but they have to keep continuing this momentum. Don't stop now
Mhm.
because they had a great win over the Raiders this past Sunday, and
Right.
that momentum carries into this game against Dallas. We've seen the rivalry these two teams have played out over years, and
Right.
and to me this game is make it or break it for Washington. They have to keep continuing doing what they're doing best. Taylor Heineke is going to have to be able to carry his offense against a tough Dallas team, and
Right.
therefore what I'm saying is Dallas they have a really tough defense. So for Washington, I would be very cautious on your passing game and try to start working on the running game.
I mean, that they have a lot of work on, but you nailed the, you hit the nail on the coffin perfectly when you said that this is the game for Washington football team to make that statement. Like you said, if you do not beat the Dallas Cowboys, doesn't mean you're out of the playoffs, but if you don't beat the Cowboys, it's you can't hold with those big teams. So that 10-2 Cardinals team, that 9-3 Packers team, I mean, even if you make it in, you're going to be facing one of the top four teams, and the standings show. I mean, listen, the Cardinals, the Packers, the Buccaneers, the Cowboys, and the Rams have not gotten to their spot into their playoff spots without earning their opportunity. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
when you talk about teams that weren't, anticipated, who would have thought the Niners were holding that seventh spot? Because losing Jimmy Garoppolo for such a long time, really impacted their season for at least half. But they're really making
Mhm.
a come around. But when we go back to the Washington football team, this is now we're going to separate the men from the boys from the men, right? If
Mhm.
you are a man and you are a team that to be forced to reckon with, you want to be considered a Super Bowl team, then you're going to have to be able to beat a team like the Cowboys. And if you lose now, doesn't mean you're going to win. Come playoffs, you need to win
Yeah.
now. On top, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because facing Dallas is like trying to be able to step up your challenge because if you
Right.
do make it to the playoffs, there's potential you're going to either take it on Green Bay or Tampa Bay, and
Mm-hmm.
yet you want to be able to remember your challenge against Dallas from this past Sunday or this coming Sunday,
I
and say,
mean,
hey, I would
right.
say
Well, I
if you
mean, I was just going to show you that even listen, you can't guarantee that you're going to face the 3 or 2 spot because the Rams haven't been playing well. Now let's give him factor for the Rams, real fast because this was a game that the Rams needed to win. They won against the Jacksonville
Jacksonville
Jaguars.
Jaguars, yeah,
Um, but they have been showing signs of injuries and some fatigue in the season. So this was a big game for the Rams, but just overall in the NFC, I mean, I see a separation, right? The top four are significantly above 500. Some of these other teams are just reaching 500. So there's going to be, as we move forward and as we get closer, which is what we're on the last home stretch, basically.
Yeah.
We're gonna separate the boys from the men here. Um, Really fast. We're going to take a look at the AFC. New England holds number one, which was a very shock. We'll back around to them. Tennessee Titans hold number two. Ravens number three. Chiefs find their way back in at number four. The Chargers, Bengals, and Bills have the wild card spot in that order right now. I want to say some surprising teams really quick. New England has to be your number one surprising team of them all. Kansas City finally
Yeah.
found their, feet underneath them, and they're carrying back in. But right now, if playoff heads into play today, the Patriots have the first round bye.
I mean, the thing is, though, is that the Patriots have finally stepped up to the plate because earlier on in the preseason, we talked about it, how they released Cam Newton and said, we're going to rely on Mac Jones. And I was questioning
Right.
them. But yet, the fact is that Mac Jones has played phenomenal this whole season, and yet in a game where it was like kind of like an Antarctica type of vibe, where there was rain, there was snow. I mean, the wind was horrendous, and Mac Jones only threw 3 passes that game against Buffalo, and they still won. I mean, it was probably like a 4-point game, but still, yet though, New England is finding keys to be able to make adjustments for them to be able to be number one right now, and not only in their division but with the AFC standings overall. And it's
And if you
about
think
time.
that you think about last Monday night's game where New England beat the Bills with all the weather conditions, the fact that the Bills said, "Listen, he only threw 3 passes." So if you're telling me that the Bills couldn't have a run game strategy or a block, blitz strategy against the run game, you're telling
Mhm.
me that the run game destroyed you? Like, it doesn't
It
matter what
was
the score is. The fact that they beat you off the run game, and we know how important it is. It's kind of concerning for the Bills moving forward. I mean, they have. I think they have the Bills have Tampa Bay, and I mean, you're telling me that you can only block against the pass. I don't know. I feel like the Bills are on the downhill, and I mean, at the beginning of the year, I would have probably told you that the Chiefs and the Bills will probably be my 2 favorite teams in the AFC.
Well, the thing was with Buffalo's loss to New England this past Monday is that the problem was that the coach said, "Bring the kicker out here." The problem is the special teams can't even kick a field goal. The
Right.
wind was so bad, it was off to the right, off to the left. I mean, the problem is you're making calls that you shouldn't have been making. You should have kept your offense out there if you wanted to win this game. For you to keep your team with the momentum that they need, you should have brought Josh Allen out there and keep going, no matter what the conditions were. Instead of having your special teams knowing full well that the win was going to make a huge difference in that game, and which it did.
Yeah, I mean, and then I mean, it just comes to show that, like, I understand that New England has done the same thing, um, or play in similar weather factors, but it just comes to show that
Yeah.
like with the Bengals losing, with the Chargers coming on to the East Coast with the weather. I mean, it wasn't nice and sunny. It was cold. It was cold as hell. And
Hmm.
it just shows that the home field team doesn't have the advantage each and every time when it comes down to weather play. It can really
I
mess up
agree.
everyone. So listen, when we come back, we're going to start going over the teams. I want to leave us enough time because we normally run pretty behind. So stick tuned.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll go over our picks and we'll take you until 11 o'clock right here on the J and J Talk Show.
let them take my soul. Nah, 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 no. Oh, I can't let them take my soul. Nah, 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 nah,
You know, Jake, last thing I want to mention about last week's football teams is
Yeah.
that we talked about how important, or we talked about the breaking news that Ben Roethlisberger is going to retire at the end of the season. Unfortunately, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, and I tell you, I'll be the first to say it. Okay, I think I've told you this before, and I'll say this
Mm-hmm.
again. When Ben Roethlisberger first joined the NFL, I was not a fan. For the longest time, I was not a fan. I didn't become acceptable for Ben Roethlisberger until 2019. I kind of felt like he was kind of like that little thorn pricking at your side. When is he going to leave? And it sucks because I would be I'm admitting to you that that's where I was at.
Yeah.
But I mean, we talk like, for example, WWE. He plays a perfect heel because he did things that people told him he wasn't going to do. For being drafted so late in the round picks, when he got drafted, to accomplishing and holding what 4 or 5 rings. I don't know, handful of
Uh,
rings. I don't know. But anyways, my point
uh,
is that I would tell you that I was not a fan of his for the longest time.
mhm.
Up until 2019, I became okay with him. And now it's kind of bittersweet to see him leave. And I could only wish him the rest of the season the best. Hell, I want to see him make it to the postseason one more time. And
Me,
showing
you
the
both.
game
Yeah.
that he had back on Sunday against the Ravens and beating the Ravens, give me that little ounce of hope that they have an opportunity at being in the
Oh man.
postseason. No?
Man, I would tell you. I would tell you this though, the fact. I mean, beating the Ravens always feels so good. I'm sorry to any Ravens fans out there, but yet,
It is.
it felt good because we've struggled over the last couple of weeks. With Ben having COVID and out for the Lions game, to Watt being out, and then he finally gets a chance to came back against the Ravens. I mean, I talked about it this past Sunday. Ben was there from the time that Bill Cowher's final game was
Right.
at the Super Bowl at Ford Field to becoming a two-time Super Bowl champion that he is today. And not too many people can give the credit where credit's due. Ben, even though he's like not the number one, but he was always been a top five player to me
Mm-hmm.
because Ben showed how much he really cared for Pittsburgh. He's been with Pittsburgh throughout his whole career. He never left for any team. He's had some struggles in his career, but at the end of the day, though, as a Steelers fan, you got to give credit where credit's due for Ben to be with us through the good, the bad, and the ugly that we went through throughout his whole time. And it sucks. It sucks because like it makes it really, really tough to see your quarterback going and leaving next season. But I'm gonna tell you this right now: whoever ends up being the quarterback come next season has a lot of shoes to fill.
They do. But, I can't help but think that you're already seeing one of your next quarterback, at least for next year, already on the team. Unfortunately, because there's really no quarterbacks. I mean, are you gonna sign that Bryce Young down in Alabama next year? I don't.
I mean, the thing is though is that the way I feel about it all depends on the picks because right now, if the season were ended, it would have been the Lions that would end up getting that first pick, and Joe eventually, but it's going to take me some time to whoever our new quarterback's going to be, whoever's going to be the new starter come next season.
Right.
It's going to take me some time for me to get used to because where I've been a long time Steelers fan, I'm always used to seeing that number 7 Roethlisberger, and it's just I don't know that's like for Trey, like like it's for Trey's Bengals where Carson Palmer was the quarterback whenever Ben started playing. He would always
Right.
end up used to seeing Carson Palmer. So it's going to take some time for me to get used to
I,
come
I,
next
I
season.
definitely can agree with you. It's going to take time, and it's not going to be the first quarter. The first quarterback that's going to take over in Pittsburgh is not going to be your franchise quarterback. Um, I
No.
hate to say it that way. I feel like there's going to be trial and error, but I feel like eventually you guys will. I don't know if it's going to come out of a draft. I think that they may have to sign somebody. Um, who I
I
don't
don't know.
know, but we'll obviously that's going to be something that we'll follow along. But you know, when we come into like I know I was talking to you guys since week 10 that I was bought into the Detroit Lions for the rest of the season because they were going to win a game, and they finally won their game last week. Yippee! Yay! But so
Finally.
now, but here's the thing. So as soon as the Lions finally win, now the Steelers come out with, with Ben Roethlisberger comes out retiring, and you talk about giving credit for Ben and sticking around for the team for his entire career. You got to also stick around and give thanks to Mike Tomlin and the Steelers for still believing in him. I mean, because they could have dropped
Yeah.
him back at 16 when he got hurt, and they could have sat there and said, "Hey, we're going to move on from you, and it's going to be our stepping stone." When Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell started leaving, I felt like that's when a lot of the injuries really. Let me put it this way: Father Time was catching up to him, right, in
Yeah.
injuries. Well, the Steelers still stuck around with Ben. They got him healed the way they got him better. They got him back out there. So
Yeah.
you got to give credit to the Steelers too. But hey, talking about that, let's get you right into it here because we got some Thursday night football action tonight.
Yep.
The
Yep.
Steelers take on the Minnesota Vikings. And just real quick, I know you cut out last week, but here's the standings so far for the picks. I have 121.
Mhm.
Trey did really well. So I mean, I was actually surprised with how well we did. Trey had a total of 11. I had a total of 11. Trey had 10. Justin had I don't know 9. Yeah, 9. So and then you picked up 3 unfortunately. But I mean, it's kind of given any given Sunday, but Thursday night football here, both Trey and Justin doesn't think the Pittsburgh Steelers has what it takes. But you know what? Here, I'll tell you this, and this is probably news that you may like
Mhm.
because of Big Ben. I really believe they're not far off from the playoffs. I really believe that Ben Roethlisberger has what it takes to go to the yard one more time. And I really believe that the Steelers have a chance at the playoffs. Therefore, I'm choosing the Steelers the rest of the season.
That makes me happy a lot, considering the fact that yes, I'm probably the only Steelers fan out of us four, but yet, I'm easily Steelers because I feel like our defense is ready. Our defense has been doing a phenomenal job throughout this whole season. Even if we had struggles with Watt being injured and having COVID, there's a chance that we can be able to stop Kirk Cousins. There's a chance we can be able to stop that offense, and especially after the performance that Minnesota had against Detroit, easily give me Pittsburgh.
Alrighty. Continuing it here, we have the Atlanta Falcons over in Carolina. Trey has selected the Falcons to win. The Panthers belong to Justin, and
Mhm.
I'm going to say the Panthers have an opportunity at this game.
I'm actually going to have to go with the Panthers on this one as well because after Atlanta's performance against Tampa Bay, Carolina needs to be able to step up a lot. So I feel like this could be that perfect opportunity against a team like Atlanta. So give me Carolina on this one.
Alrighty. A team that probably a game that you probably enjoy but hating. The Cleveland Browns taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Justin chooses the Ravens and playing the safe card here, even though they lost last week to the
Mhm.
Steelers. But the Cleveland Browns, I think Trey is trying to say, hey, any team that's facing the Ravens are going to win, just to creep himself his Bengals team into the postseason. So. Trey has
Yeah.
the Browns to win this game. I'm sorry to say this, but I still think that the Ravens. I mean, last week was a close game, You know, this week is here. It's not going to be any different. But I think the Ravens have a better advantage over the Browns.
To me, I feel like 2 weeks ago, whenever the Ravens did play against the Browns, Lamar Jackson had 3, 4 interceptions, and they still won. I can still see that being the case. So give me the Ravens on this one.
Yeah, interesting statistics here. I think there's a 90% chance, especially if you're out there, you're looking to start betting on these games. If you want to select a game, choose a game, just ask yourself this: who's going to throw yourself a pick six? Because the team that throws a pick six is going to lose the game 95% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that. I hate to tell it to Trey, but whenever his team's got a pick six, like 99 yards or 100 yards, they still end up losing.
Right,
So
and
no offense
what
to
did the
him,
Bengals do on Sunday? They threw a pick
they
six.
lost.
They threw a pick
Mm-hmm.
six. Even when they were coming
They
back,
did.
and you just knew that they were going to lose. Seattle Seahawks over in Houston, taking on the Texans. Everyone's believing the Seattle to gripe through and win this one. I don't have any problem with that as well. But Russell Wilson, is he going to get shut down here soon? Because, I mean, they're not playoff contenders.
No, but at the same time, when it comes to these two teams in Seattle and Houston, after that huge win that Seattle needs to be able to carry some sort of momentum, even if it's not towards the postseason, Seattle definitely needs to be able to end things off on a good note. So give me Seattle this one. I mean, Houston. What more can you say about Houston?
I say see you next year. That's all I can say about Houston. I mean, the fact that you have the same record as the Jacksonville Jaguars is honestly depressing. I mean, I know they lost J.J. Watt last year, but come on.
Houston just can't get a break.
Here's my belief, and I think I'm going to alliterate this against Joe Burrow last Sunday, right? How maybe he shouldn't have finished off the game. I understand that you want to finish off on the top note here, but listen, I think that I still believe that Russell Wilson is not 100%, and I rather when you have a franchise quarterback and you're trying to push him another few more years in Seattle, then I really wouldn't suggest him to finish out the season if they're not going to contend. If that makes sense. If they're going to contend, then I see Wilson, approaching this, but I really say, hey, just sit him down. Maybe week 17 and 18.
To me, it all depends because the question is how long can Pete Carroll last, and I mean, will Wilson do leave the team? That'll be the huge case. I mean, Pete Carroll's been coaching since
I think the
20.
question is now is will Pete Carroll go back down to college football where he had the most success at?
I mean, that could be the case, but the question is, how long do you think he'll have it in him for him to coach? That's the big question.
I mean, if he's down in college and he's still and they're still willing, I mean, going back down to USC or UCLA? I know he was one of the California coaches, but I think he has a few more years. USC, go back down to USC. By the way, talk about college. Brian Keller, right? Who just signed with Louisiana, right? Or LSU, right?
LSU, yeah.
Did he come from what?
He came from Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. I guess things were kind of interesting this past week. Not this week, but the prior week, because so he, they played a bite clip of him speaking from Notre Dame, a press conference. And then they had him speaking, he attended a LSU basketball game to speak on behalf of his rival, and then out of nowhere he has this Southern drawl talk that just I swear if you just heard that sound bit, you would probably be peeing your pants. Like it felt like he was forcing this Southern talk that he didn't have at Notre Dame. and I felt like he did it to appease the fans.
I hope he doesn't coach like that. Please, Lord, I hope he doesn't coach like that. Oh
I'm
no.
talking about like a southern. Give me a southern talk.
Like give me like a southern twang, like, oh hey
Yes,
y'all, like something like that,
yes,
like, oh hey,
yes.
we're gonna win this football game, like, come on now.
He-
only
so
only this
yeah, so in
podcast.
Notre Dame, he had like a regular accent, and then he comes down to LSU speaking, and he starts giving this, this kind of like Forrest Gump talk, and
Oh no, not
he's
the grub.
writing, whatever, but he's giving this speech at a LSU basketball game about how he appreciates being here and how he's hoping to take the team places next season, and he just has a terrible, terrible Southern drawl to it looks like to appease the fans. I just
We'll definitely see. We'll definitely see for
you're
sure.
gonna have to you look it up after the show, but
I
anyway,
will.
just to hear it, I think it's funny. Las Vegas Raiders and Kansas City Chiefs this Sunday in Kansas City. Justin picks the Raiders. Listen, I'm sorry, but the Raiders, I feel like they're done this year. I feel like they had their fun, but they're done. Chiefs are gonna win.
I agree. I mean, especially with the struggles and everything that's been happening to the Raiders, give me the Chiefs on this one.
I mean, it's not even. It's more towards. I guess. I mean, listen. The Chiefs got off to a bad start, and I was kind of upset of how bad did they really play the last year. But
Hmm.
I mean, I was complexing. I was like, dude, since Kansas City is one of those teams, just like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that can easily find their groove, and once they find their groove, they can make it consistent and win ball games, and that's what they've shown they've done over the last few weeks. And now, surprisingly, they hold themselves the first in the AFC West. Surprisingly,
The,
for me,
the
but.
thing is, the thing is with me is like with no official head coach like the Raiders has right now. And I've talked about this before. Whenever Gruden left, is that you can't really continue on without someone who is the official head coach, and they have been
Mhm.
struggling a lot with that throughout this whole season. So I mean, the Raiders are done for. I mean, they're done with.
Unfortunately, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, let me ask you this because before John Gruden had his situation a couple back at the early beginning of the season, was this
Mhm.
a was this a Vegas Raiders team that would have led to many playoff wins? Because it looks like without John Gruden, we knew that this would, it wasn't like, okay, we knew that this team wasn't going to perform well, but it was the matter of when. And so the fact that they lasted this long is great, but what coach can bring them back to a playoff spot?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, plus, you don't not only talk about Gruden's situation, you also talk about the Henry Ruggs situation. I feel like everything that this team has went through has not really given the players a chance to be able to focus because of the fact that they've struggled, especially with everything that's happened to them. And the Raiders definitely need to get back into the pace. And I'm not, a whatchamacallit with the crystal ball and everything. I don't have a crystal
Mhm.
ball on me to say that the Raiders are going to make it to the playoffs, but from the way I've been seeing over the last couple of weeks, there's no way. Especially after you lose 2 points to Washington. Mm-mm.
No, I mean, I think that the Raiders are not making it to the playoffs this year. I'm just looking down in the future of what they could possibly hold.
Yeah.
We also have the New Orleans Saints and the New York Jets. Both Trey and Justin picked the Saints. I'm going Saints as well.
You know what? As crazy as it sounds, give me the Jets because at least the Jets can actually say that they have a quarterback. The Saints do not. They've struggled so much with Jameis Winston being injured, and Taylor Heineke. He just keeps running the ball. The problem is that you're gonna have to throw it. You're gonna have to throw the ball. Yes, I understand Heineke was injured, or not Heineke, but what's his name? Oh my God,
Winston.
the not Winston. He also plays for the Saints. you can correct me in the comments on this one, but whoever was the starter for the Saints kept running the ball
Simeon?
instead of throwing it. He had,
Trevor
yeah,
Simeon?
yeah, yeah, it was. I think it was him or someone else. But either way, though, he just kept running the ball, and yet he wouldn't throw it. I understand he was injured, but what I'm trying to say is that with the struggle situation, with the quarterback situation for the Saints, I just don't see them beat the Jets. At least the Jets can actually say they have Zach Wilson, and they can actually get a chance to play properly. So I'm gonna have to go with the Jets on this one.
Okay. Well said. I mean, listen, it's given. You can pick whoever you want to pick. Jacksonville over Tennessee. Tennessee picks up this one. Clean slate across the board, I believe, as well. You really
Yeah.
think Jacksonville could win?
No, I mean, I'm not giving that hope to Jacksonville, especially with how well Tennessee's been playing, but they have to be able to continue after that loss that they had. So, easily going to be Tennessee.
Alrighty. And then last but not least on morning games here, the wrong one. Dallas Cowboys and the Washington football team. We talked about this one earlier today, but both Justin and Trey picked Dallas. But here's the thing: this game means more to Washington right now than it does to Dallas. I'm choosing Washington.
Yeah. As someone who loves a good storytelling, especially when it comes to the postseason, and Dallas, they're amazing. Don't get me wrong, but I've enjoyed watching this Washington football team. So easily, I'm gonna have to go with Washington on this one, just because I feel like this could be a make or break for them on Sunday.
Right. I mean, I feel the same way too. This is gonna be probably one of the biggest morning games to see here. Coming into
one of them. Not only that, but yeah, we also have two huge games we also have to add after this one.
We do. We still have a few more other games coming up. All right, we got to take away for one more break. When we come back, we'll finish up the NFL picks, wrap up our show, taking you to 11 o'clock right here on the J&J Talk Show.
can't snake me. Ray gun off safety. My girl so tasty. Tell her it's your world. She want the two-tone spaceship. Blow smoke screen daily, so the stress don't faze me. I'm going, I keep it factual. I'm on sabbatical. I'm out in Central America. I need a break from hysteria. Park like the one with the carousel. I get it hit in your area. I'm locked to the vision. It couldn't be clear. You couldn't make me to care.
All right. Take you right to 11 o'clock. Hey, 6 more games. Detroit Lions taking on the Denver Broncos.
Oh, this game, I'm going to have to say the Broncos on this one.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Broncos too. Listen, the reason why I'm doing this one is actually for statistic purposes. Think about it. The Detroit Lions 1-11-1. 1-1-1-1.
That's crazy. I mean, that'd be funny, but I mean, that would be something else.
What type of season if you had 2-2-2?
Oh, I mean, there is still the opportunity. There is still the opportunity. So,
New York Giants over in LA to face the Chargers. Trey and Justin has the Chargers. I'm choosing Chargers as well. I think they're sticking around for the playoffs.
I gave one New York team the hope, and I'm not giving this one a hope. So give me the Chargers on this one.
You're gonna have to go back to maybe want to switch, maybe switch hopes.
I'm good on this one, but give me the Chargers because the Chargers are going to play really good. I have a feeling.
All right, a comeback game here, I think, is in order for the Bengals after losing to the Chargers. Both Trey and Justin picked the Bengals. I'm picking the Bengals on this one as well. I really believe that this game comes down to if the Bengals don't win this one, I will question their postseason status.
To me, this game is pretty much a make or break for both teams, especially for San Francisco and Cincinnati. And to me, I feel like injuries will still end up being a main key, but I'm going to have to go with Cincinnati on this one as well. But I'd be very, very cautious for Cincinnati.
Yeah, I would too as well. I mean, it's more about, how will Joe Burrow hit? And I mean, listen, let's face it, Cincinnati defense was not there last week either, so they really need to clear things up. So listen, last week was a pass, was a bye. They put up the points. It just was the defense that let up way too much. Buffalo Bills over in Tampa Bay. Both teams choose Tampa Bay, and you know what? I'm choosing Tampa Bay on this one as well. Listen, I feel like the Bills are done for the year. With the performance that they had last week, can't even stop the run game. Just imagine what they could do, what they can't do in the passing game.
I mean, who knows? Maybe Larry Fournette may have scored 4 more touchdowns in this one. But yet, don't count the Bills out. But still, yet though, I'm gonna have to go with the Buccaneers on this one.
All righty. We also got Sunday night throw here, a Green Bay cold chill factor. Packers over in Chicago facing the Bears. Both Justin and Trey got the Packers. Packers on this one too?
Yeah, Packers on this one too. And yet, just to keep this in mind, if they do win this game, then yet they will win their division, I believe.
Already. We're only in week 14.
Yep.
That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is.
It goes to show how much of a lackluster that division is for the NFC North.
Oh gosh, I mean, talking about like the Vikings and the Bears. I mean, I know the Lions are crap, but I mean, come on, Bears. I mean, okay. I guess let's face it. Let's give a little bit of credit to the Bears because, Andy Dalton goes down. They put Justin Fields in. He's learning the ropes. I mean, I think he's had a decent season so far with what he's been given, but they're gonna have to pick it up here. Last but not least, Sunday night throwdown, Rams and the Cardinals.
Monday night
throwdown.
Go ahead.
Rams. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'll say Monday night throwdown. Sorry to interrupt you, but yet this is a huge game for Monday night, and what a great chance to watch. The Los Angeles Rams taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Rams coming off of a win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Cardinals coming off with a win over Chicago Bears.
Well, I will tell you this because this game is much more value than that one because we talked about one, the importance of the Rams winning against Jacksonville because they lost 3 of the last 4 games. So they needed to pick up a victory if they're looking to continue in the playoffs. Also, they need to carry that over because the last time these two teams met, the Rams lost to the Cardinals, putting them in a sticky situation. Now, I know Cardinals are a good team; they're home this time, but the Rams. This is a much more important game to win if you are the Rams, because you need to solidify yourself inside the playoffs.
And I think they're wild cards. I mean, they have a wild card spot right now.
Yes, but it's so easy right now to drop that wild card if you don't perform good.
I agree. So yeah, with this game, as huge as it is, I'm gonna let you go ahead and pick. Let you pick first on this one.
I choose my Rams to win this one. I think that. I mean, I hate to say that it's going to be an even. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think the Rams have what it takes at least to get by this week. And you saw that last week, and they can't let the gas off the pedal there. I mean, they went in and they manhandled the Jacksonville Jaguars. They need to go in and take care of business against Arizona.
For me, easily, the last time that they had a primetime game, they lost to the Green Bay Packers for the Cardinals. But yeah, I believe they have a shot in this one. So easily, give me the Arizona Cardinals over the Rams.
Can't choose on this one. Justin picked the Cardinals. Trey picked the Rams on that one. That is your NFL Week 14 picks by us. If you want to play along, head on over to Facebook to the JJ Talk Show. You can scroll down, find the picks, select your picks down in the comments below, and tune in Sunday and let us know what's going on. Any plans for the weekend?
Not besides work, but yeah, hey, I got Sunday off, so I'm really looking forward to get a chance to enjoy some football and get a chance to relax. And so I'm ready for that and get ready for more to come for us.
Well, we still have a Sunday night showdown, 9:30 to 11:30. You can check us out right here on YouTube, where we cover and recap the world of wrestling. 2 hours.
Be a lot of fun. I would definitely be there.
We got a lot to talk about, though. What's the future hold for NXT Takeover? Or NXT? Let me put it that way, right? NXT 2.0. Another decent episode of Raw. We're not going to give any spoilers today, so bite your tongue on this one. But Hangman Adam Page and Bryan Danielson had a match last night. So
that'll be next week.
That'll be next week. I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot the main event. I watched the main event. So yeah, that will be next week. But AEW was another good show last night on Dynamite. So we will recap that. SmackDown, Brock Lesnar, is back again in the swing of things. The last pay-per-view for Ring of Honor, I believe, isn't that not this Saturday?
This Saturday night, final battle, and I believe it is going to be Jonathan Gresham taking on Bandito for the ROH World Championship. I will cover that pay-per-view and talk all about that. But yeah, it's a lot to look forward to after with Johnny Gargano. There's so much happening in wrestling. You guys would definitely want to tune in Sunday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Definitely. I can't say enough. Hey, listen, to another episode down here on the J&J Talk Show. We thank you guys for tuning in. Wherever you guys are listening from, YouTube, Spotify, Facebook. If you guys want to reach us out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, stay tuned, and we'll be back again with you shortly. Anything last words?
We'll see you guys on Sunday.
All right. Well said. If not, tune in to NFL Thursday football between the Steelers and the Vikings. And on behalf of Jake, myself, and the crew, thank you for tuning in. And you guys have yourself a wonderful day.